Step-by-step how-to video follows. The larger branch capability begins with the removal of the tube supports on the T55. Using the 4mm hex wrench provided in the Plus100 case, unscrew the set screws in the tube supports, keeping the screws with the tube supports. Using snap ring pliers, replace the chuck ring on the T55. A replacement chuck ring is provided with the Plus100. This chuck ring will stay on the T55 for all future use. Place the tilt rod assembly on the push rods, making sure the drilling depth scale is on the side of the drill opposite the electrical cord. Use the shorter screws provided. Prior to final tightening of the screws, use a shop rag to cover the push rods and pliers to keep them from turning as the final tightening takes place. Next, again using the 4mm hex wrench provided, loosen the hex screw on the pilot hole depth indicator. Move the indicator to the appropriate mark on the scale and tighten the hex screw. Then, using the leather sleeve provided, pick up the pilot hole drill, chuck it in the T55 by turning the chuck ring counterclockwise, chucking the drill shank and letting go of the chuck ring. Rotate the pilot hole drill until you hear it click. To adjust the tilting angle for the T55, once again use the 4mm hex wrench provided. Place the wrench in the screw that is on top of the base plate assembly and screw it to the appropriate mark on the scale on the side. Select the proper size ring clamps. Place the base plate upside down. Place the tab of the ring clamp in the slot and line up the hole in the tab of the ring clamp with the pin in the base plate. Push the pin into the hole. Turn the base plate right side up. Place the base plate with attached clamps onto the tube. Line up the centering rod with the spot marked for the T to be made. Using locking levers, clamp the base plate securely to the tube. Note that the locking levers are adjustable. Raise the tilting plate bars to the upright position and lock them into position by turning the locking lever to the down position. Using T-drill lubricant only, lubricate the cutting blades on the pilot hole drill. Place the T55 on the base plate assembly so that the tilt rod assembly fits into the slots of the tilting plate bars. Make sure that the cord of the T55 is in the same direction as the orange locking lever. Drill the pilot hole with steady pressure applied to the T55. When the rods have bottomed out in the slots, tilt the T55 in one direction to the fullest extent, then the other. You may want to repeat the tilting action for a fully cut elliptical pilot hole. To remove the T55, release the orange stop pin and remove the unit. Then, turn the orange locking lever in line with the tube and turn the tilting plates down. On some sizes of tubing, it will be necessary to anneal around the pilot hole. Place the Plus100 unit on top of the base plate assembly and line up the 4 locking pins with the holes in the base plate. Turn the orange locking lever down. To set the forming pins to the proper diameter, first loosen the knob on the sizing gauge. Spread the sliding jaw of the gauge to the open position and place the gauge on the branch tube several inches from the end of the tube. Slide the jaw closed on the tube and tighten the knob. Remove gauge from the tube. Extend the forming pins completely. Then, with the 4mm hex wrench provided, loosen the set screws only one turn. Retract the forming pin slightly by turning the adjusting cover toward the minus sign. Place the parallel pin on the gauge, in the hole, on the end of the collaring head shank, and by turning the adjusting cover towards the plus sign, extend the forming pins so that they press firmly against the jaws of the gauge. While keeping tension on the adjusting cover, tighten the set screws on the back of that cover. Do not over-tighten. Retract the forming pins and remove the gauge. To insert the collaring head into the Plus100 unit, first apply T-drill lubricant to the forming pins. Retract the forming pins and place the collaring head into the Plus100 unit. Then turn the adapter counterclockwise until collaring head drops into the start position. To prepare the lead screw, rotate it clockwise so as to have it in its uppermost position. Place the lead screw into the Plus100 unit. Chuck the T55 onto the adapter, turning it counterclockwise until the pin pops up. Place gear selector in position 1. Pull the trigger. Extraction time is, depending on branch size, about 6 minutes. When the extraction of the T is complete, remove the T55 by pressing down on the pin holding the tilt rod assembly in place and turning the T55 clockwise and lift it from the adapter. Lift the lead screw and collaring head from the Plus100 unit. To put the double dimple in the branch tube so as to comply with code and specification, place the jaws of the dimpler over one side of the tube and squeeze the handles together. Release the dimpler and turn the tube 180 degrees. Repeat the dimpling procedure. Place the branch tube in the T that has been created and line up the dimples with the run of the tube. Braze the joint. Remember, set the pilot hole and tilting angle scales. For long tool life, lubricate the pilot hole drill. Anneal around the pilot hole when the chart calls for it. Liberally lubricate forming pins before and during the collaring phase. Use speed 2 for pilot hole drilling and 1 for collaring.